Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Blitz, Bama, Blitz.
All right. Good evening, everybody. We are back. It's the Weekly Joe podcast here for episode 6 of season 3, the 2026 Alabama baseball season. I'm Paul Graham here tonight with Drew Champlin. To my lower, slightly left, we have Roger Myers here. Kind of just the diehards. Here, Roger, coming to us from Tuscaloosa tonight. Fresh off, we were all there last night. The win over Troy. He's heading up to Lexington this weekend, I imagine, for
yes,
a few days in the cold in Lexington as the seasons haven't quite changed 6 hours or so north of us. But a good week for Alabama baseball. We're final tune-ups. As they say, the hay is in the barn. Everything you've done to prepare for the SEC season, you've pretty much done it. Or if you haven't, it's too late at this point, right? We're about 48 hours away from first pitch in Lexington. 15-3 record coming out of a midweek play and preseason play. The sweep over North Florida this weekend. Just excruciating watch of a game last night against Troy, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So the team sits 15-3, 11-1 at home. Like a lot of teams that we've had some challenges. Obviously, we probably played what I don't know what you guys think, and we haven't seen everyone in the country. Obviously, that Southern Miss team is still just tearing up anyone in their path. That's a top 7, 8 team in the country, you think?
at least 10, if not.
Yeah, at least. Definitely looks like a good SEC team on most nights. So obviously our most challenging game, and then probably the best win so far, the win over Oregon State on the Saturday out in the tournament in Texas. Other than that, I mean, not an overly challenging schedule going into SEC play. Drew, your thoughts on so far what you've seen? 18 games in?
We're okay, I guess. I wouldn't say great. Well, our SEC stats are kind of near the bottom. Team stats are kind of near the bottom. But, the one loss we had that we really shouldn't have lost was Washington State, that first game. But then again, you look all around the league and many teams have multiple losses to teams like that. So, Southern Miss was a whooping, but that was also a midweek game. So, I put a lot of stock in the Oregon State win because that was like a Saturday SEC win. They were pretty good. So, there's a lot more I think need to show us to make you think they're a regional team. But, that's why they play the games. There's a long way to go.
Right. You still stand by your B assessment of the team that we last week?
I'd probably go about a C plus. It's like 15-3. It's
15-3.
They've made some game-winning plays. They've made some game-winning hits. Like I'm thinking Steele's home run in Sanford, and then him throwing out the guy at Oregon State. So they've mostly done what they need to do. Just left a lot of men on base. They get a lot of guys on base with walks and stuff, but just a lot of questions I have kind of going forward. And, we can talk more about that as we get into it.
Yeah, sure. Roger, just general thoughts on ready for SEC play? I mean, you're ready as you're going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we can do. Get guys healthy is about, the only other thing. But
that's key.
How long does that take, for them to get ready to go? So it's kind of, you're starting at ground zero since you haven't done anything in 3 or 4 months. So, how long? It's middle of the SEC season by the time any of them are back. So we kind of play with the hand that we've been dealt and just try to make the best of it. Just have to clean up some things defensively, offensively, in situational things. I mean, we're leaving the bases loaded
a lot.
And despite a low batting average, we should have a high on base percentage because but the walks and the hit by pitches will probably dissipate as we get into
Exactly.
play.
Yes.
I mean, we're not going to have anybody walking us 15, 12,
No.
or 15 times in the SEC, or we shouldn't be. So,
Right. Maybe on a Sunday, but but you never know.
yeah. So, probably still the same grade. I mean, we're probably fortunate to be 15-3,
Yeah. Mhm.
in some ways. So the Houston loss was kind of
Yeah.
just
It was
flat
very flat.
after a
Right.
big win over Oregon State and clinched that title for that
Mhm.
tournament.
Mhm.
Um,
Not the
Washington State one was just inexplicable.
Yeah, not the best Troy team that they've trotted out in the last several years. Obviously, that we
No,
took last night. I mean, you were hoping maybe that would be a little more of a tune-up, but UAB is playing really well. They got smoked
right.
last night, but they're playing pretty well. It would have been nice to maybe get one with them before the conference play starts. But
That Troy team beat Georgia in Athens
that's
in the
true. That's
midweek
true.
game.
Yep.
So how do you figure all that? I mean, I saw a legitimate dude behind the plate for him though,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I think that kid's for real.
Sure. So I was probably the hardest one on the grading last week. I think I was we kind of hard C and talked a lot about the defensive lapses, just kind of how we were listless going into a few of those games. I would I if I had to do that again, maybe it may still be a high C or maybe a low B at this point. I mean, I think the week leading up is how we handled our business these last four show me some promise. I'm like you. I think you've got just the just the routine things that we're not doing well, or not so much the great plays we're making. It's just the plays that we're maybe used to seeing made that are
Right.
being made more difficult, or guys it feels like are out of position. I go back to injuries, like you said. Um, there are at least three guys you're thinking of here. Well, Mizell, whose timetable is probably way out.
Right.
Davenport, who I think we thought would be an immediate help, right?
Right.
And then Christensen, who we had seen and had played in the SEC battles and has been out. All three are heavy outfielder. I mean, they're outfielder types, and so you expected that. And if anything, they would have given you a little more flexibility to do some other experimentation. And whereas right now you've been pretty well locked in this lineup,
Yeah.
aside from getting a young guy in once in a while, that you're probably not going to trot out there against SEC pitching every weekend. So, again, I go back to that. I mean, I'd still be very high C, maybe low B, but the injuries probably have got to be a caveat that we've got to consider in talking about all
Yeah.
that. But the season starts new, and here you go. You got a 30-game gauntlet coming up, starting this Friday with other midweekers scattered within.
Yeah.
That
One
that you still
one
got.
thing's promising, and since we really haven't been hitting that well, is the focus a little bit more on small ball.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
stealing bags. I mean, we got a great. I think we're 34 for 36 on the season
yeah,
or something
mhm,
like that. And bunting. I mean,
mhm,
or
yeah.
hit sacrifices maybe against better teams. Some of those bunts
Be
went to
defended
hit,
better, right?
be defended better, but at least sacrifices in play, which it hasn't really been the last few years.
Right,
And
right.
I mean, we had four guys in a row bunt during the game this past weekend,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
a couple of the lefties are trying to, Bryce and
Mhm.
Brady have laid down bunts when the third baseman has shifted way over and beating them out for hits. So,
Mhm.
I mean, if we can do that, and Holt can handle that and bunt some, so and got has some speed. So,
Yeah. We'll see
that,
how good we are at that this weekend against Kentucky, who does
right,
that as that's their identity, and we'll we'll,
right.
we'll get we'll get into them. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Troy game last night. Drew, your thoughts? Again, I go back to not the best Troy team they've trotted out. They're now 6-10 on the season. Just that kind of, I don't know. Skylar Meade it was channeling Casey Dunn last night with all the pitching changes and extended the game. But thoughts on this game and kind of what we left out there that could have made this one a little more of a comfortable win.
Yeah, jumped on their starter, got him out after an inning. Next guy hit pretty well. I think
Mm-hmm.
next guy Torres hit his first pitch for a home run, if I recall. And then it seems like a lot of teams kind of have that second or third guy go about 3 scoreless innings on us and kind of
Yeah.
stop our rallies. So, it feels like we make good adjustments against or have good preparation against the starter, maybe not so much against the middle guy. But I talked to a buddy at Troy, and he said they're surprised that they are what they are. He thought they'd be a lot better. I think if they have some hitters who have not gotten off to a good start, and Skyler's going to bench them if they're not performing. He's got a short leash on them, no matter how good they were last year. Like Cavill and a guy named Meyer was in the lineup.
Yeah, I think
5 hits, should have gotten more, and some of those were kind of like little dribblers that just found a hole. But they walk. I think when teams hit you and walk you so much, you kind of lose comfort at the plate and just finding that good pitch. If guys are around the zone, you're going to get that. You just you hit it. So I think that kind of throws you off a little bit. But got the win. I think Heierberger was pretty good in relief. Just kind of held on and never really let them feel like they had a chance to win. I don't think.
Right.
Maybe
coolest
after
thing
the
I
home
saw.
run.
Coolest thing last night to me was the leadoff hitter for Troy's name is Zaid Diaz, and Diaz is spelled D-I-A-Z. Zaid is spelled Z-A-I-D. So it's what do you call it, a palindrome? What's the word for that?
I think that's right.
We'll go with that. Yeah. Say backwards is forward.
Yeah. we miss our academician here tonight who can tell me that. But kind of a neat name. But just an aside. Troy, like you said, Troy ekes out 5 hits. I mean, we only walked 5 guys. It was good for a midweek performance, I thought. Roger, just felt like, we were and this is one of the things I think we'll talk about later that it just scares me about this team is that we get a lot of guys on base, but when we've got a chance to put up a 4 or 6 or 8, 7 run inning, it seems like we're always lacking that. It's usually the hit. It's usually the hit we need at 1 out. And there was an instance last night. I can't remember exactly how it played out, but we pop up on the infield with 1 out with the bases loaded, or second, third. Then we fly out to end the inning. So it seems like
you swap those around and you have the run on the
exactly. And so I mean, you look at our line last night. I mean, we get a 3 spot in the second, like you mentioned. I think it was the inning that Torres homered, and then we're just scratching out single runs in 4 different innings. But man, we had opportunities last night to really put that game away, didn't we?
Yes, 10 left on base in 8 innings. So bases loaded. Once, and then second and third a couple of times. So
you
got to figure out a way to get those guys in.
And that's probably one of the things that in the, I'll call it the preseason, whatever we're going to call this, has been a little bit of a recurring theme, is just the ability to pile up runs when they're out there for the taking. When the ducks are on the pond, as you might say. That we're just not getting there, and I mean that's reflective of team overall is hitting 274, which if you pulled up the rest of the SEC right now, there's those guys in the upper echelon right now are in several of them hitting 340, 330, as teams going into SEC play. 274 a couple of years ago was what we hit in SEC play. So that's what scares me, I think, more than anything, is that the stakes are going to be a lot different as we jump into the next round of play, starting this weekend. But pitching wise, last night though, I thought we got got good performances up and down the, pretty much up and down the lineup. What do you see Bobby Alcock out there? I mean, he's heating it up a little more. He's control seems pretty good. He's got. A couple of guys got him where they're fouling off a lot of balls. Maybe just hard time getting that third strike on a guy, but good in that midweek slot. I mean, JT, him. I mean, it's pretty solid setup in midweek that we've seen so far.
I think Bobby looked good enough for the 3 innings to win these kind of games, and he didn't. They hit him a little bit there in the third, especially, but. Fortunately, we threw the guy out at the plate to cut off that, and then but that was 3 hits in a row right, right there at the
Right.
end. So I don't know, he hasn't pitched a ton this year, so maybe he hadn't
Right.
stretched himself out. But the first couple of innings, he had three strikeouts and
Hmm.
just the one walk and the one single, and wiped those out
Yeah.
with a caught stealing and a double
Mhm.
play. So
Yeah.
and then he got the first two quick outs quickly in the
Yeah.
third, and then those
Right.
three hits came. So
Mhm.
that might maybe we're looking at his limit right there around 45,
45.
45
Yeah.
pitches or
Yeah.
so.
Definitely looks stronger, Drew. I think a
Yeah,
year further out from the injury.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot like we saw with, you know, Riley last year is, they were being very, taking baby steps with the pitch count. Then as he built up, looked a lot stronger. Same with Hagen Banks. I mean, two guys right there, coming up is 2 years off of big injuries, Drew, that were, big in that game for us last night.
Yeah, I thought Bobby looked pretty good for the most part. Three solid innings. I think maybe they're going to try to build him up, maybe get him to go 4 or 5 in some of these.
Hmm.
We hadn't seen Blackwood since the Southern Miss game, I don't
Yeah.
think. So kind of some questions there because he's been a guy who has pitched a lot of midweek games over
Right.
the last year or so. So we'll see what happens there, and then Steckmesser, good little bounce back for
yeah,
him. I know he
Yeah.
pitched
Very good.
against UNF, but he'd
Two
had a rough week
scoreless.
before that. So yeah, he looked good. Sam Mitchell, he's kind of turned into like that rubber arm out of the pen. I mean, we're
Yeah.
we're seeing him a whole lot this year.
Yeah.
Except for he gave up that bomb, but that really should have been a solo because LeBron booted a routine grounder that was right to
Right.
him. So thought Heiberger looked good. I mean, I think he's our best bullpen arm. It's just where you're going to use him.
We're going to use it.
And
Yeah.
then,
Exactly. Yeah.
Banks, fine. I mean, okay. Is he a closer? I don't know. I think he's a useful bullpen arm, but hopefully we
Hmm.
just haven't just pigeonholed him into that role. I mean, I know he'll be called on to close some, but I
Right.
think Heiberger is going to be our best bet there.
Hmm. Yeah. So you mentioned, I mean, to me, going into the season, if you just said, 18 games in, hey, two guys on this staff are going to have 7 appearances. Guess who they are? I probably wouldn't have said Steckmesser and Mitchell. Maybe Steckmesser because you knew a
Yeah.
little bit, but you thought maybe he'd be, kind of that one inning guy
left,
late. I wasn't
right.
thinking of Sam, but both
No.
those guys have now been in, seven appearances on the season. Talk about the closer situation because again, Drew touched on that. I mean, a little bit. And Rob even last night in his post game press conference. If you listen to that, now I try to either retweet those or rack them off of YouTube. But a lot of the guys that report Theodore and
Davison.
Simon, yeah, all those guys are usually there and recording and posting clips, and somebody will eventually post the full thing. But they're always a good watch, usually about 10 or so minute watch. You get a lot of information from them. But one thing he
Mm.
addressed last night was the closer situation and the fact that, he just wasn't sure. I mean, you're probably going to have a closer by committee. It might be Heiberger one night, it might be Banks one night, maybe somebody else. I mean, do you think that's conducive in SEC play?
Yeah. I mean, I think basically it was just Osmer all the time.
Yeah.
And I think there were some times
Which
where
worked pretty well. But yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can think of some games where someone else should have just finished that game, like the
Hmm.
Vanderbilt Sunday game with Heiberger and
Hmm.
probably with Myers in a couple of these games. So, I don't know that we have as many other good options. We're going to find out. I mean, we have a lot of
Yeah.
options. We're going to see how good they are.
Right.
Because Heiberger's also a guy that can pitch 3-4 innings in a game.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it'd be something if we had like another legit veteran starting pitcher. Miles
Hmm.
Upchurch would probably be the best option to close games with that
Yeah.
mixture of the off
Exactly.
speed.
Yeah.
But I'm fully
Oh, yeah.
expecting him to have some big games on Sundays in the SEC.
Roger, thoughts on the closer situation? Do you like how it's panning out? You think it's going to
Uh,
work?
I'm hoping so. I mean, it's going to have to be by committee. I mean,
Hmm.
um, I think Heiberger probably the most likely to be your main guy. You may have times where it might be Steckmeiser. I mean, he may come in the third and pitch 3 innings, or he may come in the eighth, pitch the eighth and ninth, or
Yeah.
this night,
Right.
depending on matchup. If you have three lefties coming up or something,
Right.
which they'd probably pinch hit for some of them. But it's in a way it's good to have some options.
Hmm.
And whether it's Hagen and Heiberger and Steck and Morris at times, like Drew said, I think there was games where Braylon could have, I think, finished off last year.
Sure.
I mean, because he could go, obviously he proves he could go multiple innings.
Mm-hmm.
He come in the seventh and the eighth, and there was times that finish out with the ninth, and that Vandy game that's
Mm-hmm.
on us all off season, the way that one ended up.
Right. Yeah, and just recapping the rest of this evening, the runs, we kind of manufacture them. I think we hit 3 sack flies. I mean, Fowler, Vaughn, and Torres all had sack flies driving in. And again, I go back to you're kind of playing small ball, playing for one run, and that's kind of what you end up getting a lot of the times. Stole 1, 2, 3. We stole 4 bases last night. We got hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I think I counted. We're up to 80. Didn't know that's the whole season last year. I'm sorry. We've been hit 43 times on the season. So our hit by pitch rate is 5.9% on our plate appearances. So one in 16 plate appearances, somebody's getting hit.
And the walk rate's higher than that.
Yeah.
So.
15.5% on walks on plate appearances. So between hit by pitch and walks, we're at 21.4%. So 1 in 5, almost 1 in 4 are either getting walked or hit. Which
then you throw your hits in, and you've got a pretty damn good on base percentage.
Right. Yeah. So it's an interesting kind of dynamic what we're looking at here. We're at 424 on base percentage. We were 394 for the whole year last year. So again, and that team played a whole SEC schedule where we haven't yet. But last night was yeah.
Are we morphing into Kentucky right before?
That's what I'm saying. We kind of did it. We did it. I'd like to see us do it against an SEC schedule, not against some of these teams that we've played. I would like to see us just bash these teams' brains in. But I guess the good thing I see last night is you get a couple doubles out of John Lim. He's up there hacking away and getting a couple of hits. You saw LeBron kind of shorten up, get a couple of singles, and drove in a couple of runs with one. Whereas it's earlier on it was kind of home run or nothing.
That's 4 of your 5 hits, and
that's it. That's it.
Torres' home runs on the other.
Torres, off the board and got a couple of hits. So not much to talk about at the plate last night, but enough to get by with that win. And again, I go back to that's not the best team Troy's trotted out in the last several years. You play South Alabama next Tuesday, and they're maybe on par with that team, maybe better. I don't know, but that's could be a comparable game. But just shows that if you're not, you still gotta get those hits. You still gotta get those hits with those guys in scoring position. You still gotta move runners along, and I think that's how this team's gonna have to make its living this year, scoring runs. Just quickly, we can recap the North Florida weekend. Team pretty well took care of business. I mean, a 7-2 win, a 9-3 win, and a 12-2 win. I think that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I got them in order.
You did, yes.
Yeah, 7-2. The pitching really, I think, was the story of the weekend. While we scored adequate runs, that I think the pitching staff just showed, or at least the starters on the weekend, that Drew, these guys are going to be legit arms, and it's great to trot 2 veterans out like we do on Friday, Saturday, and then have this young guy coming in on Sunday who just, puts on a show for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think Faye and Upchurch both had double-digit strikeouts, if I recall. Yep. And then
11 each.
Yeah. 11 each. So, obviously Faye's best game of his career, I think he went 7 or 8 innings.
Went 7.
7.
Yep.
Yeah. So, want to see more of that in SEC play if we can, and then Zane Adams pitched enough to get the win. And it seems like Zane, he's pitched pretty well this year, and he's given up a few home runs, but they're always to guys who are haven't played much. And this
the least likely got to hit it.
Yeah,
they're solo shots, which
so he's limiting the damage, and Oregon State he dominated for 4 innings, and so I think he's going to be he's looking a lot better than he did last year, in my opinion. So we'll, looking forward to seeing how these guys compete. I think that's what's really going to give this team a chance is the quality starting pitching, and you hope they can pitch you into the 7th or every game out.
6 or 7,
so we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Zane got through 5. Faye got through 7. Faye is by far the most efficient of our guys. I mean, if even when Faye has a longer inning, kind of rougher inning, it seems like he can lace a few together. The 7 pitch inning, 8 pitch inning, 10 pitch inning, gets kind of levels out and went 95 pitches. Which, I mean, again, this guy was he's a bullpen arm up
A
until
year
about
ago.
midway last year, right?
Mm.
So big step up for him, Roger.
Exactly. Yes, and he has been the most efficient. And I had some guy comment on one of my stories saying, "Well, I always think that your ace should be your Friday guy, so why not church pitching on Friday
Mm-hmm.
and Faye on Sunday?" I was like, "Well, number one, you got a fourth year
He's
guy
fresh.
against a true freshman. You
Exactly.
got you
Yeah.
got a guy that's the most efficient guy pitching on Friday,
Mhm.
who goes deeper and
Yes.
allows and saves your bullpen for the other two games.
Yeah.
He's gone more innings every start than the other guy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, and
Yeah.
more
I mean,
pitching. I mean, he's built up for it, and
Yeah.
Miles is going to have his Friday nights for the next
oh, he
two
will. Yeah.
seasons.
He'll a
I
couple
mean,
more
Yeah.
years of it.
I mean, he's a first rounder, and the most
Mhm.
upside and talent of all of them. In
Mhm.
most everybody's opinion, and all three of them are very good, and all three are going to be will be draftees and play
Yeah.
pro ball.
Right.
So um, Tyler's
Yeah.
just Rob said in one of his things, he said, I was flipping through some box scores from last year and found where on this day last year Tyler pitched an inning and a third against Alabama State on his Tuesday
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
And
Probably
then
21 pitches or something. Yeah.
4 or 5 weeks later, he's starting in Baton Rouge against LSU, or starting against LSU wherever. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he's really, really come on, and I mean to have been a walk on
Mhm.
originally, taking a red
Great
shirt.
story.
Yeah, really, really good story. Great kid, great family.
Right.
So happy to
Right.
see that. And then Steckmeiser closed that one out for the
Yep.
two
2 innings.
innings, and the emergence of Anthony Pacey.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Three
Great.
nights.
In the 3 appearances now, nobody's hardly touched him.
Yeah,
Um, looks really strong. I mean, looks obviously rested, but had arm problems last year, and then so didn't really get to show anything last year. I think he only appeared in one game or two,
yeah,
but
just
had a
like
good summer. Had a really good summer, and now that kind of feels like they've built up some confidence in him, and I
yeah,
think they're only gonna utilize him more because he's kind of a young guy. Looks like he's kind of fearless, Drew. Kind of fearless as a pitcher out there. Maybe just
Yeah. I
he looks
mean,
like he'll throw anywhere around the plate. Um, nothing tentative about him.
yeah, a lot of times you want these guys' first game to be when we're up 7-0 against Alabama State, but they
Hmm.
threw him in there when we needed to keep runners on
Right.
against Houston, and that was your first time. So I think that was. I mean, we didn't keep those runners
Hmm.
on; they did score, but I don't think he pitched bad by any stretch. And
Yeah.
and then he's pitched pretty well his last 2 games. So
Hmm.
hopefully, I don't know how he did in practice or anything like that, but if he was about the 20th guy to get used, maybe not as well. But some of these guys, they compete a lot better
The
in games
gamers.
than they
Yeah.
do in their bullpens, and
Hmm.
he seems like a
Hmm.
gamer so
Right.
far.
Prove me wrong here, Drew. To me, the most important pitcher on our team of all of them is Tyler Fay because of what he can do on Friday night, chewing up innings.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably counter that a little bit with Heiberger just
Hmm.
because of if we lose Fay, you still have a couple guys who are talented enough
Hmm.
to run out there, and they may not be able to chew up innings quite like he can, so you lose that. But I think Heiberger in the pen, a lefty throwing 94, 95, who can go multiple innings. That may be our most valuable arm,
Hmm.
especially if we're able to use them twice in a weekend.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. Roger, thoughts on that?
that
You got
that
you got
95 was nice to see from Matty last night, wasn't it?
uh-huh.
mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
he was heating it up. He was heating it up nicely.
and Bobby, we had him clocking in at 94. So
3 or 4, yeah.
and and maybe that's a late mid inning to late inning relief guy for an inning or two. At some point, after midweek's done. I kind of agree with you on Fay because it's important to me to get a long start from the Friday night guy.
Right.
You,
Right.
you, you
Just kind of
can't,
set the weekend up. Yeah.
yeah, you can't, unless you just get blown out. You don't want to be chasing your good guys out there to try to hold on to either a 2-run deficit and keep it from coming a 5-run deficit.
Mhm.
Once it does, if you've wasted that guy, you're in trouble. So if he can keep going 6 and 7 innings on
Yeah.
Friday night, that sets the tone for the weekend.
Hmm.
And
Um,
Miles closing things out on Sundays
mhm.
has been really nice, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he's just going to get better and better.
Yeah. 6 innings on Sunday, goes 84 pitches. The key here's the really impressive thing. He strikes out 11. Again, this is a freshman, this kid pitched in high school last year. He walks one. Doesn't hit a batter. 6 innings. 4 hits. I mean, guys are going to get hits off you at this level, but 11-1 walks to strike out. I think Faye was the
He
same
was
on Friday night,
same 11 to
11-1.
1 as well.
Yeah. So just stellar performances by those guys. And we're kind of glossing over. Oh, by the way, you got Zane Adams on Saturday, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think and maybe it was the Saturday presser or is either Saturday or Sunday. I can't maybe in the day Zane pitch. They were talking a little bit about Zane and that they just know there's more there. It's maybe he hadn't shown as much. I mean, he's been I want to say, I mean, he's been adequate. I mean, he's pitching fine. It's just I think the team realizes or recognizes based on what he did when he marched out there on Sunday as a freshman against Arkansas, and
Yeah.
you name it, pick two or three of these other starts that built the legend of Zane Adams at the capstone. That there's more there, and that they know it's going to be there when we need it.
Yes, I heard that, and I agree with that. And main thing, like Tyler and Miles, his control's been outstanding.
Yes, yeah,
He walked 2 Saturday, and that tripled his walks for I mean, he had three walks in 4 starts.
right,
So
right.
that's if he can keep throwing keep attacking and throwing strikes, and I
Mhm.
think Rob said he's got the stuff not to have to nibble too
No,
much.
no.
And sometimes he might feel like he was doing that a little
Does
bit.
a little bit,
So
yeah. Two guys on the weekend, I thought that just the emergence of them is going to be critical, or the emergence or sustainment, whatever the word would be, of these guys. Justin Osterhaus and Brady Neal. Drew, everybody was about to write Jo off after the first several games. Then had a hit, and now it feels like he feels like he's kind of hit a groove and going to be a big contributor in this lineup, hopefully.
Yeah, he did get off to a slow start. Osterhouse did. And he's a guy who he gets on base, he can run too. So
Yeah,
that's
great
going to be
athlete.
needed. It feels like he's been able. I don't have the stats in front of me, but the on base percentage was good. He's got a couple home runs. Hopefully, we can
Yeah.
get some more. I
Uh-huh.
I still wonder what kind of infielder he is, because I think that's what he was in the fall, and he's just been kind of
yes,
out there in left field. So I wish we had mixed a few things around.
Just to try. Yeah.
Yeah, just second, third, with Torres at first, whichever one, just to kind of give us a little more flexibility. And maybe we'll have that if we get
We
Christensen.
get these
Seems
guys
like he'd
back.
be back soon, so we'll see.
Yeah. Roger, talk about Brady Neal and what he's meant to this team so far.
oh, just like where would we be without him?
Maybe
I
your
mean,
MVP. If you had to call him, he's your Cade Snell last year. I think we talked about that a
right,
little bit. Could he
right.
be? So far he is.
He's really, didn't have a great game last night, but
No, no.
I mean, every game he's been, being in the second, now that he's kind of settled into the
Mhm.
third hole, he's just, he was hitting over 400, I think, coming into last night's game.
Yeah.
But he's showing power. He's showing, he'll lay down a bunt when the third baseman shift it over, take a walk, get hit. I mean,
Mhm.
and then, play
And
anywhere.
he gunning down fools trying to steal on him too.
Right, right.
A couple of them.
He and Johnny both have done well controlling the
Mhm.
run game. But yeah,
Yeah.
Brady, they've been just kind of going catcher DH with him and he and Johnny, but we know he can play second. We know he can
Yep.
play left field or right field. Could play third
Mhm.
in a pinch. So, his versatility and just his whole, I think he's having the year that people thought he would have last year.
Right. Right.
And which would have, he wouldn't be here if he had this year
Yeah.
last year, he would be gone. So, and he's still, I mean, he's a 4th-year guy, but he's still just barely turned 21 because he was a year up. So, age wise, he's fine as far as the draft and all
Sure.
that. So I think he's just playing free and loose. Maybe he had to
Yeah.
draft out,
I've said that in
the
the pressers several times.
just had the draft pressure and
Mhm.
after being highly regarded coming out of high
Yeah.
school,
Felt like he had
just
a lot to prove. Yeah.
right, right. So I think he's just just watching him from the fall on the field during practice and during games, he's just a
Mhm.
different guy. Just a
Right.
great attitude and seems and being a really good teammate
Mhm. Yeah.
and just doing what they need him to do.
Yeah, touching on those two, he's now hitting after last night 377. He's slugging 679, which is behind only LeBron, and is 486 on base. So just really good enough. 4 homers, 19 RBIs. Going back to Osterhaus, who again was
Oh,
batting
for yeah,
triple O in the first I don't know first couple weekends, right? He's up to 267. He's slugging 422, and he's 433 on base because he's drawn he's drawn 11 walks. I'm looking at on the line below him. But that's come around considering what a slow start he had. So I think the emergence of those two has been very important.
and
Again, obviously.
Torres as well.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. A couple of notes on him. So Torres now is 279. You'd like to see that a little bit higher going into SEC play because it's obviously going to come down in
Right.
SEC play. But in 80 plate appearances, he walked 16 times. So his walk rate's 20%. His K rate is where'd it go? His K rate is actually down this year to 18.8. Now again, he's got playing SEC schedule, but his K rate last year was 32%. So it's 32% down to what 18%.
18.
Not quite half, but I mean it's considerably come down. So I think pretty nice leap already that you see there.
Defense is much better too.
Yeah, and the glove, the
I
glove
mean,
is night and day.
we know how, we who've watched him practice and scrimmage know what a great first baseman
Yeah, he can pick it.
is and
He can
can
pick it.
be. But he's been doing it. I mean, he's been outstanding at third
Yep.
base.
Yeah. All right. So that's the week. Well, enough about those games. I mean, those games are kind of a dime a dozen now. The real ones start here. All right. Give me this. I told you before the show we were going to talk about these. Give me your biggest concern? Two things from a lineup / hitting standpoint, or hell, it could be defensively for that matter. Your biggest concern, and then from a pitching standpoint, your biggest concern. Don't necessarily have to call anyone out. You can maybe a general thought on that. What
Yeah.
do you see here?
I would say from the lineup, I mean, we got to hit the ball better. I mean, I know
Yeah,
we can play some small ball, and that's our identity. Someone's still got to kind of get that 2-run homer, 3-run double, something like that in the fourth, fifth, sixth inning of a lot of these games. So just can't be leaving a lot of guys on base. Defensively, um, you know, uh, second and first base really didn't look very, very good last night. Not Brennan's best game there. He's
no,
had some really good games like Iowa, but we kind of, we're kind of we don't really have a great second baseman that I've seen to go with LeBron.
yeah,
I mean,
defensively, yeah, it's
Neil's
just
passable and Luke Vaughn is
uh,
passable, but he had an error last night and he doesn't quite pick balls like say Torres would. So
yeah,
that's kind of why I was hoping to see just a little more
mhm,
moving things around, even if those guys played 90% of the innings at their positions, which
right.
they have. But and then, gosh, what was the mound question? The concern
Pitching,
on
yeah,
the
the biggest
yeah.
concern from pitching staff standpoint.
Obviously, we got to have the three starters stay healthy.
Yeah,
Just really, with Caden Humphrey out for the year, and we thought he'd be our closer. Maybe
yeah,
not so much finding that one guy who's going to go get 12 saves, but just like guys who can compete and get outs.
uh,
We got to have a few of those. So I don't know if I'm
yeah,
concerned, but I'm really curious to see who steps up there. But
yeah,
yeah, I guess that's a legit concern.
sure. Roger, concern from a lineup standpoint, hitting, pitching, defense,
Um,
and
it's kind of just like same thing over and over. Just getting hits in clutch situations, getting runners.
mhm,
Continue to get runners on, but we're going to have to start getting more hits because we're not going to get walked or hit like
right.
like we have been doing, and then not driving
No.
them in. So I mean, it's hard to say we got to improve our batting average in SEC play compared to out
Yeah,
of
yeah.
conference, but I mean we do.
Uh,
I mean
but
we've
but
won
if you can keep it 274, I'm good.
right. We've
But
we've
yeah,
won we've won several games with only 4 or 5 hits
hmm
Yeah, it's
yeah,
and
yeah,
2 or 3 or 4 or 5 runs. So I mean, that means, the pitching's been doing its thing. So
Right.
losing Humphrey at the back end,
That hurts.
that hurts a lot.
Yeah.
And another guy who kind of stepped up a little bit is Crowther
Yes.
that we
Yeah,
have
he's
we
gonna
haven't
be good.
mentioned.
Yeah.
So that's another, soft lefty like Steckmeiser. I mean, neither one of them are going to blow you away with velocity, but Matty can.
Yeah. Stack to me is sneaky fast. I mean, like the ball, the
It
ball comes at you
gets
from a
on
funny angle. It
yeah.
sneaks up on you. And especially on lefties, he's really tough on those guys, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, but we're still looking at teams bringing 97, 98 out of the bullpen
Yeah.
four
And
or
we
five or
haven't seen a
six
lot of that.
times,
Yeah.
and we just don't have that. But
Right. Yeah.
kind of on another note, like speaking of lefties, maybe maybe Connor Ball should have stayed around after he dominated Arkansas this week.
Dominate them on Monday afternoon, shoved 5+ innings and just shut them down. And Stetson actually won. They went 2 out of 4 on the weekend.
Yeah.
So
he had one hit, no runs, and 8 strikeouts.
now to be fair, he had the living hell knocked out of him the last
early on, the first weekend he did. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
Mhm.
little Connor just came
Little
out
things,
there
yeah.
and showed it.
Things that concern me. I mean, from a lineup standpoint, is just the bottom of the order. I mean, like last year we had Richie down there, we had Bryce down there. We kind of flipped or flopped them, and at least you're a little stable throughout the order. Now again, just to educate our viewers who are or our listeners who are the most educated baseball fans out there, this team hit 240 last year in conference play, which is low. I mean, you're probably the best team hit, maybe a team or two hit over 300 in conference play, but we had 240. We're hitting 274 right now. Things that are catching my eyes right now is our K rate. We're striking out 21% of our plate appearances. That was all last year. We struck out 21% of our plate appearances. What that tells me is probably a hell of a lot lower in that first 18 games and a hell of a lot higher in the SEC play.
Yes.
And so that tells you, okay, that could be coming. Again, you go back, we got a higher walk rate, we got a higher hit by pitch rate. When you go up and down the order on the K rate, while Torres is, improved on it, Steele's at 31.5, but defensively, you gotta have that arm out there in right field. But
maybe
31.5 on the K rate, only 6.8 on the walk rate. So, just gotta, hopefully they, it's just I mean, there just may not be walking in that guy or taking a lot of pitches. I mean, he's just an aggressive guy at the plate, and that makes him who he is. But I think that's gotta narrow down whether one goes up and one comes down, or they both.
It may be that he's at times becomes a late into defensive replacement to protect the lead. I mean, we got to get somebody in there to get the bat on the ball.
Got to get bat.
I mean, we know he's got the power. We've seen
absolutely.
it. We've seen his power, but he's kind of lost up there right now.
Right.
And
I feel great about starting pitching. I feel pretty good about the back end of the bullpen. I don't necessarily like the idea you got 3 different guys closing out. I really kind of feel like you ought to have one, but I don't see it on this team, unless it's Matty. But I go back to what I've said all along. I kind of feel like Matty's a guy you need to use more innings. I mean, I think he's one of your 4 best arms on that team, and 3 of them are starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So right. that concerns me. I'm like you, defensively, the team's got to be better defensively, because we're just not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to work around dumb errors that put guys on base.
We're not going to be able to score our way out of that.
It end up scoring on the front end of home runs. We need those things to be so low. Holt last night on that one play just kind of stayed back on a ball, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, this is a long throw from second I got to make, and tough to make with a good runner. LeBron's booted, 6-7 errors already, and I mean, just didn't make a lot in SEC play last year. I'm not that concerned about that, because he makes the spectacular ones, but he's got to clean that up.
Yeah, just get his concentration. And we had just talked about last week how he had 2 or 3. He had like 3 games where he looked a lot better, footwork wise and everything. And it's and like you said, it hadn't been the tough plays. It's been kind of like ones right in front of him.
Yeah, hard hit balls. Yeah,
and they have been, but I mean, not making excuses, but is it like he's trying to rush because he doesn't trust what he's going to be
Exactly.
doing
Yes.
next?
Kind of the middle. Yeah.
You
Right.
know, I mean, that's, kind of something to think about because,
Mhm.
or like, hopefully the ball's close to the bag so I can just step and go on a
Right.
double
You got to
play
be
ball.
comfortable with what's around you. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Um,
um, yeah. So
but they do
it
they need to clean it up. I mean,
they got cleaned up.
Torres has been the best infielder,
It really has. It really has.
Mm.
consistently defensively.
Uh,
Luke had been pretty good.
uh,
Just his stretches are still a work in progress,
uh,
but he had scooped several balls, but
yeah.
that one kind of got on him real quick last night that
Mhm.
he booted, and then and it ricocheted, but he didn't go to the bag because Holt was there to pick it up, and there wasn't anybody at the bag to throw the ball
No,
to.
no.
So
Yeah.
it just kind of a mental error, not playing the position a lot.
Right.
Um, so, but he has improved, through since he's been over there.
Hmm.
But now, his hitting
Yeah.
has gone down
He
as
had
well.
rough.
He,
Yeah. He had
he
rough last
he's
20 years
he's
bats.
like 1 for 21 or something, I
Right.
think.
Right. So
Um,
yeah, I mean, so you got a few guys kind of trending up. You got a few guys trending down, and you would hope everybody would kind of use this time to build up. So just a general concern of mine is you got a lot of guys that are already trending down a little bit from at the plate, and now we're getting into SEC play and where it's just it's you don't get any breaks in this play. I talked a lot about stats relative to last year's team. Again, that team overall, what walk rate was 13%, so we're up to 15 and a half so far this year. Our hit by pitch rate, the team got hit 3.5% of the time. I don't know what the best in the country is or anything like this, but 5.9 seems like a really high number for getting hit. Although we mentioned early on Kentucky is that that high. And again, the K rate at 21%. I mean, honestly, if we could hold 21 through SEC play, I'd probably be okay with it. I'd like to see it
yeah,
come down a little bit, but I don't know how realistic that is with
you
this
see,
team.
yeah, we get some of those Friday and Saturday night
Oh
SEC
yeah,
arms.
yeah,
That's not gonna.
gonna be tough. All right, so let's that's the story of us. Let's talk about this conference that we're getting into, the 16 team gauntlet that is the SEC, and first off, just right out of the gate, based on what's happened in the preseason, and it's a little bit misleading because a lot of teams play tougher schedules, a lot of teams play kind of weaker schedule. A lot of teams will go to they might go to one of these
Tournament.
tournaments in
Yeah.
Texas or Florida or whatever. But then some team, we got Megan Dennis joining us. Thank you for being with us. We'll unmute yourself. There you go. Welcome, Megan.
I'm late, but I'm here.
Better late than never. That's all right. We're glad you're here. We're just we're talking about the SEC, and who's got the most questions out there right now. Drew, you think of these teams particularly that have had these rough couple of weeks, the LSU's, the Arkansas, the Vanderbilts, the Tennessees. I mean, who do you other than that, most of the teams that kind of taking care of business, but who do you see
Yeah,
as the team with the most kind of question marks?
I guess besides Alabama, Vanderbilt seems like Vanderbilt and Arkansas and really even LSU too have lost a lot of just
Mhm.
questionable games, like more
Right.
than one, like way more than one. I mean,
Mhm.
unfortunately, so I just kind of look. We play. There's 16 teams in the league, and so I just kind of look at our schedule, and I'm glad we get Vanderbilt and Arkansas this year.
Yeah.
And South
Wish we
Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's kind of those. You'd hope you could win those series. I'm glad we get Florida early in the season because
Mhm.
usually they're a lot better later. Still should
Right.
be pretty good. But then to me, the
And
three
they had a really rough weekend this past. I mean,
and
damn near
should have
got
gotten
swept.
swept.
Should have got
Yeah,
swept.
but
Yeah.
2 weeks ago they win the series at Miami, so
Exactly.
they're very talented. They're just going to be swinging for the fences a lot. That's kind of how they're built, and you just
Mhm.
gotta try to rein that in a bit. And then to me, the best teams seem like Texas, Mississippi State, and Auburn. So
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
get and Oklahoma is off to a really good start too. So
Right.
we get
Yeah.
3 of them.
Megan. Yeah. Megan. I mean, just right out of the gate. I mean, you think about you've seen enough of some of these teams or seen what they're doing kind of on the periphery. Who wins this league this year? It's 30 games from now. Who's sitting at 19 wins or 18 wins and on top of the conference? Is it Texas again? They haven't
I
lost
don't
yet.
want
Nobody's
it
beat them.
to, yeah. So I don't want it to be. I think the Cards will even out at some point, but Texas
Mhm.
looks good. I think A&M will be good.
Mhm.
Ole Miss I think is looking okay right now.
Yeah,
I think especially
right.
compared to the last couple of years that like I'm not going to be shocked if Ole Miss comes on later in the season and
Uh-huh.
gives a lot of headaches.
Yeah. Two teams. I'll let you speak to them first. Are you buying or selling Mississippi? The team's making a jump. Mississippi State, Oklahoma. Completely new team at Mississippi State, obviously. And Oklahoma, it seems like it's
Mhm.
getting, it's
Buy
completely new
buying
pitching
both,
staff.
buying
Yeah.
Mhm.
both right
You're
now.
buying both. All right. Okay.
I think buying Oklahoma, no to State.
Not sure about State. Okay. All right. Drew, your
Mhm.
thoughts on those two?
Yeah, I would say for sure Oklahoma seems a lot better than I thought they were going to
Mhm.
be, and Mississippi State seems like they're
Yeah.
possibly a top 3 or 4 team.
Uh, Let me pair two more up. I think the team that's probably pitched as well or better than anyone. I mean, I can't. I have to go back to the numbers to prove it. Is Auburn? I mean, Auburn's starting staff is. I mean, what they're throwing out there on Friday night, Saturday night in particular is really, really good stuff. And then Georgia is just pounding the ball. The park can't hold it. That park gives up a lot of homers anyway. Those two teams can Auburn's pitching take them to the conference to the top of the conference, and could Georgia just do it purely on hitting and beating teams 15-13? Roger, your thoughts on those two?
Uh, Georgia has the advantage of playing in their park.
Yeah.
So, and they don't get away from there except when they have
No.
to for conference play.
Hmm.
So it depends on who their five road road teams
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
expect
A
them.
lot of it does, right? I mean, like,
I expect them to do.
mhm.
And I mean, I'm Auburn. I just can't. It's just hard to say anything good about.
Yeah, no. It's hard to say anything good, but it's
But they're good.
that team meets the eye test this year.
Right.
I got to give them that.
Butch is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, no
And
doubt.
if he's got his pitching going, he's going to be all right because their pitching has not been, they've
No,
been hurt a lot the last couple of years,
right.
and they,
Drew, no, go ahead.
and they've been, and they had those good young bats,
Yeah,
and then they
yeah,
had Ike for those years, but
yeah.
uh,
Rembert and
Rembert and Bubs and those guys,
uh,
they got some the catcher for
Fralick.
Fraley.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they got some legitimate bats, and like you said, their pitching's looking good.
oh, it's real good. Drew, the Vanderbilt. Well, Missouri. Does anyone go 3-27 in the league this year? I don't.
Uh, I don't think so. I think
Mhm.
someone maybe last place might win 5 or 6 games, and it's
5 or
probably
6.
could very well be Missouri or South Carolina. I kind of think
Uh-huh.
Missouri edges out South Carolina there, but you know, there's I
Hmm.
think did they get swept in every single series except for that A&M
Yeah,
one?
except for the one they swept.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't see a season like that happening.
No.
I think hopefully there'll be a lot more parity. I mean,
Hmm.
But
I worry about our team if we can't do certain things like that we've been
Yes.
talking about
Hmm.
having a single digit win record. But yeah,
Hmm.
I don't think anybody goes 3-27.
Right.
how in the world is Missouri 15-2?
Well, that's what I'm
Um,
saying. Yeah, they've played well, and I mean, they came
yeah,
back from a game that was caught in a rain delay or some sort of a suspended game that they were down 9 or 10 runs and came back and won the other day. So the team's got some spunk. They
Mm.
brought the head coach back. They
yeah,
felt like a good, very likable guy. A lot of people like him. And I mean, you had that team last year. There were games last year where that team showed a little promise, and
oh,
clearly the
Yeah.
A&M weekend they did what they had to do. And that was on the road, as you recall. The last one I would touch on here, Tennessee in the post Tony V era. Megan, give me a win total. Give me an over under. I'll give you over under number 13 and a half. Tennessee post Tony V this year.
from the limited sample size that I've seen, and because I refuse to say good things about them, I'm going to go under.
Under. Okay. Drew,
I
13
haven't,
and a half.
I have not studied the schedules. I'm
Yeah,
going to
that's a
say,
lot. That's a key.
yeah. So I don't know who they have. I'll probably go slightly over, even though the last couple of years, well, they won the national championship 2 years ago, but
2 years ago.
last year they were the eighth place team in the league, and I think the year they had Zane Denton, they were like eighth or ninth in the league,
Yeah.
even though they made Omaha. But I'll go 14 for them.
Okay. Roger, 13 and a half. What do you got?
We'll go 12 and 18.
You go 12. I'm going to go on. I'm going to go under on them because I've just seen enough in this preseason that tells me that team's going to have a hard time winning games on the road. Finally, I mean, the other two, A&M was that was just a disappointing season for them last year, given the hype and the players and everybody that, all the drama the year before. You get to the final game, then your coach goes to runs off with your best friends. Your best friend runs off with your wife, like Shalot's going to Texas. And then they keep the team intact and get out of the gate terribly slow. They actually came on pretty strong at the end. But they're out of the gate hot this year. They're 15-1. Kentucky, who we face this weekend, is 15-2 out of the gate. Although as we're going to discover here in a minute, they haven't played anybody worth a damn. Those two teams, Kentucky or A&M, who gets the most conference wins? Meghan.
A&M.
A&M. All right, Drew.
That's probably my thinking too. A&M.
You're going A&M. Roger, you got a different opinion on that one?
A&M, but I don't think either one of them will be in the top 5 in the league.
Top 5. Okay, so they're 14, 15, maybe 13, 14, 15 type thing.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, if again, it's I don't know. People misuse the word parity. It drives me nuts because parity means everyone's 15-15. It doesn't mean that there's more parity this year, right? Parity would be 15-15 for everybody. All right. So there's not going to be parity. We're not going to use the word parity wrong. But do you feel like the top team this year wins more or fewer games than Texas did last year? It would probably help if I told you what Texas did last year. I think Texas won the league at 22-8. Does anyone go 22-8, or is the top team in the 19, 20, 21 range?
20-10.
20-10. Drew?
Doesn't Texas have a really easy schedule?
They usually do. They did last year.
They do in every other sport.
Right.
I feel like I can't exactly remember who that people said they were missing, but I'm going to go. I think they're going to go 22-8 again, most of it because of that.
All right. Meghan, 22 or lower. And again, whether it's Texas or not, whoever wins the league, is it a 22-win team or is it less?
I'm thinking 20 or 21.
That's kind of where I lean. I think again, it's not that there's parity in the league. It's just that the teams I think are going to be a little more compressed because I don't think you get a 3-27 Missouri that everybody chalks up 3 automatic wins against.
Now South Carolina might do that.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they could. I think going back to last year, A&M at 11-19. I think that comes up. Carolina was 6-24 last year. I don't know if that comes up or not. And then you had everybody kind of compressed in the middle. So it's just you were more top heavy and bottom top heavy and bottom heavy. I guess that kind of balanced it. So I agree. I think you balance out a little bit this year. All right, we're going to preview our opponent for the weekend. University of Kentucky. They come in with a 15-2 record. They are coming off a sweep of the Citadel over the weekend. Some pretty high scoring games actually over the weekend. The weekend before they swept St. John's, but interestingly enough, that was a 3-1 game, a 3-0 game, and a 3-1 game. I can't remember which one game Evan Chafee pitched, Roger, but you mentioned it before. He kind of held him in check there. I've got former Alabama player Evan Chafee. One of those 3-run games, but obviously had a lot of trouble scoring runs that weekend. Previous weekend, they took 2 of 3 from Evansville. And then opening weekend, they swept UNC Greensboro. So, again, this is a team really haven't been tested. I mean, even in the midweek games, they lost a midweek game to Morehead State. That was their other loss. And they played kind of the regional teams, the Eastern Kentuckys and whatnot. So they've not really stepped out of the kind of comfort zone and been tested. So 15-2 is, again, I mean, it's a a good start, but probably haven't been tested quite like we have necessarily. I would say this, their starting rotation has been Jackson. I think it's Jelkin. I think is how we say the name. He's kind of their ace. He's a Friday guy. 253 ERA. He's struck out 26, walked 4. They go with Chase Alderman on Saturdays. He's only gone through 11 innings, so he kind of gotten knocked around in some games and just are not going real extended. 5.56 ERA in 11 innings. And then on Sunday, they've been going to a guy named Nate Harris, who the Citadel actually rocked, chased him in the second inning, struck out 21, walked 7. But I think, in general, like any Kentucky team, that is typically the strength of the staff or the strength of the team is that starting pitching and just their ability to kind of manufacture runs for those guys. Key player or top player, Jace Thornish, I think is how we say it, 375 average. He's a 979 OPS. He's stolen 14 bags. He hasn't been caught yet. The team is 59 of 66 on stolen bases. So you mentioned, Roger, I think we're about 38 stolen bags, 38, something like that. Was that our number? I can't remember.
36. Yeah, it's somewhere in there, less than 40.
So this team's going to swipe a lot of
38
bags.
as of Tuesday. Yeah.
38 of 40.
38 of 40, which is pretty good number for us. But of course, one dude's got 18 of those, right? Tyler Bell, who you heard a lot in the preseason, I think was out, and then finally cleared. He's been back, played about 5 games. Probably their best player. From a hitting standpoint, they've only hit 15 home runs, about half as many as we've hit. Only about a quarter of what Georgia's hit so far. So not a big long ball team, but they're hitting 308. Opponents are hitting 218 against them, and I mentioned a lot. They get hit a lot. They draw a lot of hit by pitches. So named Hudson Brown, Luke Lawrence, Ethan Hindle, kind of their power guy. He's got 5 of those home runs for this team. This, to me, and I had sat down and watched 18 or however many 17 Kentucky games. Broken down a lot of film on Kentucky yet, but all you got to do is say Kentucky, and the first thing that comes to your mind is kind of small ball, gonna death by 1,000 cuts. Drew, what do you expect this weekend to be like? Kind of the stereotypical UK weekend.
Yeah, kind of like 2 years ago. I didn't expect them to do what they did to us, but we just could not figure them out, and it was just a very frustrating weekend. They just kept winning and winning, and they were the number 2 seed in the nation. They went to the College World Series, and I keep looking at their stats from that year, trying to see what silver linings we may have. And their pitchers, like they had a lot of transfers that year from like mid majors.
Yeah,
their Friday guy was at College of Charleston, and he shut us out the year that we lost 1-0 to them. Other guys, their Saturday guy was from Central Connecticut State, and those guys' ERAs started to really blow up in the middle, like higher in the later part of the season. So their numbers that year just weren't really that great. They had a couple 20 homer guys. So I'm like, all right, do we have that? Do we have one? So I'm trying to kind of figure out who some comps are. They had a second baseman who, hit like 370, but really it's just, I expect them to be guys who string out long at bats, try to get your pitchers out of the game early, and then just try to put pressure on the catcher. Now I think we can, I think Brady and John Lim are pretty good catchers, and
right.
But we can't be throwing away. We can't be resetting the counter and throwing away balls.
Nope.
So I don't know that it's a super talented team. I'm not sure that we are, but it's a winnable series if we can't give it to them. I felt like really in that series 2 years ago, especially Friday and Saturday, I think we gave it to them. So we'll see.
And it was miserable up there weather-wise then.
Yeah. Weather, another factor, and Rob's talked about this already, is like, ready to see, that's the kind of first punch in the mouth we're going to get is you're going up there and playing in 40-something, 50-degree weather after, I got sunburn on my head Saturday here.
Yeah.
Roger, your thoughts on the upcoming weekend?
I've been up there several times, and, here lately we have not played well up there. They've been a little better in this. I mean, they've small balled us to death, and then just gappers, and not a lot of long balls, but a lot of running, a lot of bunting, a lot of slashing, and then good pitching. So I don't know a lot about this team other than looking at the stats. No,
Right.
they haven't really played anybody really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I feel like we match up player to player pretty well. It's just being on the road and being in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
If we can handle those situations and pull out a series victory.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the starters, as we were saying, they need to go deep.
Just to go deep. Yep. You gotta go
And
deep and not put it on your bullpen. Yep.
so just figure out a way to get enough runs to win.
Uh,
Uh, little leery about it because when I went up there 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago,
mm-hmm.
that we had come off sweeping A&M out there,
Uh,
and I thought, oh well, we're gonna sweep these guys. It just didn't work. Same thing at Georgia. Same thing at Georgia too.
mm-hmm. Oh
Well,
yeah.
we that year we had come off beating Tennessee at
We
home.
beat Tennessee
Right,
2 out of 3.
right.
Last year
Yeah.
we
2 out of 3.
got
Yep.
A&M. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that was my thought process. Like, that's correct.
Yeah.
Beating Tennessee,
Beat Tennessee
when they were
2-3.
flying so high, and then here we are.
Yeah.
We go up there and it's like, it's
We're
Kentucky.
smoking cigars in the
yeah.
outfield after the
Yeah,
game.
yeah. So
Yeah. Meghan, is there any team you hate playing in the league more than Kentucky? And what do you expect this weekend?
I mean, I think weather might play a factor too, in the sense of like
Yeah.
it's going to be highs in the 50s,
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
and it always plays weird when we go up there. It doesn't matter what temperature is going into, it'll be cold, it'll be dreary, and that seems to historically we don't play as sharp when that happens.
Right.
So I think that's definitely a factor that'll come into it. I mean, Kentucky's batting 308 as a team right now, but to the point that we've already made, they haven't played anybody, so I don't really know if that's really indicative of anything.
Sure.
And looking through their pitching, I mean, it does kind of seem like if we can run their starters out of the game, we will have a chance. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of like, are we going to be able to actually get the hits that we have kind of seen over the last couple of
Sure.
days that could translate into getting that into a game? And this team right now, we seem kind of spotty on which way that could go.
Right. Right. I called a toss up. It may be one of those weekends we show up like we did at A&M to start off the season last year and just blow the doors off with just play precise and pitch perfectly and do everything correctly. I could also see us just crumbling. I don't know, but and that's the beauty of this. The other beauty of this is it's SEC play. And okay, so listen to this. Here's the schedule in the SEC this weekend. Tell me about any of these, and tell me, it's like, man, would you go watch all three of these? I think you'd watch most of Tennessee at Georgia, South Carolina at Florida. Again, South Carolina, a lot of questions about Alabama and Kentucky. Again, a team coming off a 16-14 record in the conference. Kentucky went 13-17, but you're playing at their yard, and they feel like they're going to have a big breakthrough year. Mississippi State number 3 at Arkansas number 5. Now, whether or not Arkansas deserves to be number 5 after some of these kind of weird losses they've had, but the hype around Mississippi State and the new staff and the new team. I mean, think about that series. All right, a chance to get well for these two. LSU at Vanderbilt, number 13 LSU, who's just had a miserable last 10 days or so. And then Vanderbilt, who's had some pretty inexplicable losses, but also has challenged itself, really, really played out, in a couple of those events, the first couple of weekends of the year. Auburn goes to Missouri. How's that always happen? They get Missouri to start the year. But Auburn ranked number 6.
At least the weather will be miserable.
Yeah, that's right. Auburn's ranked number 6 in the country, and probably well deserving of that preseason hype or whatever you want to call it. A&M trying to rebound, going to Oklahoma, who's sitting at number 9 and pitching probably as well as anyone in the country. Got some really good arms, and then finally, Ole Miss. Again, 2 years ago, had a couple of really bad years after winning the championship. Goes 16-14 last year. Seemed to kind of have the swagger back. They're going to Texas, who oh, by the way, has not lost a game and is ranked number 2 in the country. I'm assuming UCLA maybe is still number 1 in consensus. Consensus in most of the standings. really not a dog of a series out there. I mean, maybe you could call Auburn, Missouri a big mismatch, or maybe you could call South Carolina at Florida. But that's just what SEC play is, right, Megan? I mean, you get into SEC play, and it's like every weekend it's like that. And that series you look at, and in your mind you say, yeah, that's an easy 2 out of 3 for the favorite playing at home. Hell, they get knocked out. They lose Friday and Saturday, and they're scrambling Sunday to salvage one. It's what this league is.
100%. And it really kind of seems that this year it's gonna be maybe a little bit more even across the league than maybe we've seen in the last few. And I could be very much eating those words in a few weeks, but that's kind of what it seems. And
Right.
with the exception of maybe South Carolina, maybe Mizzou, there's not really like a true like bottom of the league. So I think it is just going to be one of like,
Right.
how does it play out? I think every weekend's going to be good series.
Yeah. Drew, thoughts on the SEC season and just what you
Yeah,
see,
I
especially
mean,
opening weekend?
I think if we made predictions on all 8 series, like on a spreadsheet or something, we'd probably all miss 5 of them. You just kind
Yeah.
of really
Maybe
never
we'll do
know.
that, and I'll tweet it out.
Yeah, I
I'll
guess
get y'all
I
the sense.
mean,
Yeah.
we like those D1 baseball guys. We could certainly do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, you could go 5-25 and you make the right plays and you're 17-13. So we're thinking about, I was thinking about this. We were 16-14 last year, but we only won 4 series. We had
Yeah.
Just
we
didn't
just
Yeah.
get
never got
swept.
swept. Yeah,
Just
so
can't
that's
sweat. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
key is don't
Always
get
manage to
swept.
salvage.
And that's easier said than done when you got road games to Texas and Oklahoma. But I think our schedule's probably, it's not more daunting than really anyone. It's not easy by any stretch, but
Right.
yeah, you got to hold serve at home. Hopefully, you can get a sweep somewhere and you
Right.
don't get swept. So, and then you're
I,
playing in a regional.
I think the question mark, like maybe, I don't know if daunting's the word for it, but the thing that's different or challenging or daunting about our schedule is some of these places we go that we're not used to going. And I mean, again, a lot of these guys have been playing. Hell, Osterhouse probably playing from 300 people at
Yeah.
IUP Fort Wayne. I mean,
Well,
it's not so
he's
it's
played
happening.
at LSU before. They played
Well,
at
it's, yeah,
LSU last year,
right.
so
But
hopefully
like
they'll
we're
have.
going this year, we're going to Oklahoma, we're going to Texas, going to Kentucky, which we don't go to all the time. It's Roger. I
A
think
lot of long
a lot
trips.
of long trips. And I mean, and there's a grind to that. I mean, there's a little bit of
And then
familiarity,
there's,
maybe.
we come back from Kentucky and go to Mobile,
Yeah,
play South on Tuesday, and then come back and play. Just the
Like that.
yeah,
scheduling is
yeah.
just, not ideal for,
Right.
not ideal. Let's
No,
just say that.
no. All right. Let's do two. Let's do two last little things, and then we'll call it a night, and we'll get ready for the season. Going, I mean, we did this earlier, but now you've seen this team 18 games, and you can kind of in your mind get an idea what's this going to look like in SEC play, knowing hey, the starting pitching looks pretty damn good, bullpen's holding its own, hitting starting to come around a little bit. It's a little more small ball than it usually is, but we're probably going to be bottom quartile of the league in hitting. Give me an over under on Alabama conference wins, Megan. I'm gonna hedge it at let's use the number 13 and a half. Over under.
Over.
Over. All right. Drew, over under 13 and a half.
I'm gonna go under. There's a path.
Yeah.
13 could still get you to a regional,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of worried this team's going to kind of lose a lot of like 4-2 type games.
Yeah.
And because we didn't get the clutch hit. Now, hopefully that changes. We go 2-3 we win 2 this weekend. Then I'm probably rethinking that, but I'm going to go under at this point.
Okay. Roger, over under 13 and a half.
I'll say over.
Go over. All right. How far over would you, if I gave you 14 and a half, you going over on that?
Let's say 14 or 15.
14. Yeah, I was going to say 14, 15. Okay, yeah. 13 and a half for me. And I feel like, again, I still feel like it might be a little more of a pitcher's league. Although these teams are putting up, video game numbers in these preseason or, early on in the league. I think the starting pitching just keeps us in games, and we find ways to win. We eke out a run here and there, and again, if we can find a way to, and I just haven't seen us define it yet, Again, you got your three guys, you're going on Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday nights with on the weekend. But then I go back to Heiberger. To me is a big key because he's your fourth, but he's one of your top four arms, and you got to find a way to, how do you get that guy in the game 5-6 innings like these other guys, every weekend. You can get him 4 to 6 innings or whatever it is, whether it's using him twice or closing games or stuff. I just think that's going to be a key. I mentioned Faye being a key, obviously, because it's just strategically you've got to chew up innings on Friday night in SEC play, because then you're positioned better for that Sunday win. If you've got to have it and you've got a lot of arms to go on Sunday, you're in a lot better position, and that sometimes will win out in a game when everybody else is kind of burned out. 13 and a half, again, I go over, but probably not much over. I probably would have been a little more bullish early in the year, but after 18 games, until I see this offense come around a little bit, I'm gonna hedge a little bit. The weekend, Megan, you're usually calling for a sweep, but if you're calling for under 13 and a half, would you call under 13 and a half, or did you call over?
I said over. I'm thinking
Okay.
14.
You're thinking
14's
14?
the magic number for me.
Okay, so how many of those do we get this weekend?
My heart says 3. Realistically, I'm going 2.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what you got the weekend? Can we win the series in Kentucky?
We can. I think we can. I'm going to go, since I'm the curmudgeon of the group with predictions. I'll go 1. Really hope we get 1 and don't get swept like we did 2 years ago. But yeah, I'll call 1. I'll hope for 3, and I'll say 2 is possible.
All right, Roger, what you got?
2 and 1.
2 and 1. We go 2 and 1. Okay, I think we find a way to eke out 2. I mean, I really think we come out and play probably our best game Friday. I think one of the games we somehow lay an egg. I don't know which one. Maybe it's Sunday with the freshmen going, but again, their freshman, their starter on Sunday got rocked, like I said before last weekend by the Citadel. So maybe that makes me feel a little better about Sunday. I think the cold probably has a little bit of an impact on us. Although it ain't been that, until recently, it ain't been, we had a cold of our own. We have a pretty hard winter down here, but if anything, maybe it's warming up. It's enabled us to get out. I think we get 2 out of 3.
Are you, is Paul frozen up for you guys?
No.
Nope. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay. For me, it is. Maybe it's my lack of internet is probably hurting me.
Yeah, you froze up for just a second there, but no. Okay. But I think we find a way to eke out 2 out of 3. I think the one we lose might be kind of inexplicable, and like, what? How did that happen? But I think we get 2 out of 3. So there you go. We're going to the weekend with a little bit of optimism, I think, from the group here in general. Maybe we'll do that. I'll maybe send out to everybody to get predictions on who wins the series, and we'll put them out there. Any other thoughts going in the weekend or just in general? Oh, and we won't record again until after this game, but I guess South Alabama Tuesday, after all this is over, trip to Mobile after getting back from Lexington late Sunday night, a little challenge.
Yeah,
doesn't sound. I'll be hoping for rain.
Around.
Yeah,
I'll be hoping for rain. Not because we can't win, but it's just I don't know who made the schedule.
They are flying. So
they are. Well,
12 o'clock. 12 o'clock Sunday. Maybe be through by 3. Be on the plane by 4. Be home by 5:30 or so.
Okay,
so
that's good. Yeah,
that'll help them.
They gonna fly to Mobile too. That will make a lot of sense.
I doubt they'll fly to Mobile.
4-hour drive, not a fun one though.
Yeah,
I think that'll be a
yeah, it's not as bad drive. I mean, from here, it's
they should have flown to Mobile and then bust home after that. That'd be a little better, I would think.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Another tough week. So again, got the Kentucky series. You go to South Alabama on Tuesdays, and then we'll get ready for the SEC home opener. I'm really looking forward to that. Florida will come to town at the Joe for 3 games. In the meantime, let's look real quick and make sure everybody's aware of the games this weekend. Give me times. 5:30. 5:30 is Friday.
5:30 Central. And oh shoot, I just wrote that down.
I got it right here. All right, yeah, 5:30 Central on Friday. We got 1 Central on Saturday and 12 Central on Sunday. I think it kind of warms up on Sunday, so it's a little nicer day. And again, it's in the 50s or so. I think that Friday night will be a frigid one as the sun's going down. It's gets down in probably the low 40s or there about that night. So maybe the weather won't be as big as a factor going into those. But there you go. So again, 5:30 Central on Friday, 1 Central on Saturday, 12 Central on Sunday. I can't tell from this what the TV are, but obviously, is it? I don't know if any are on SEC Network or if they're all on Plus.
It's on the app. All on the
they're
app.
On the app, yes. So access them through the ESPN app and catch them. And you can catch on the Varsity app. You can catch the radio call. Not sure who'll be up there. Maybe Roger. Well, Roger's probably the basketball tournament, but so I'm not sure who'll be up there calling the baseball series on the app if you want to go that route.
We'll probably have the Kentucky announcers on the app.
That's true. Yeah, that's it.
Because it's a road game.
That's it. All right. Hey, folks, thanks a lot for joining us. And great panel. Meghan here, a little late, but we got her in. That's great. Drew, thanks for being here. Roger, safe trip there and back and pull us through. Folks, we will be back again next week with another edition of the Weekly Joe. And we're going to let Campland and I can't call Peter. I'm sorry. I was trying to call him Evan. Peter Slate, take it away for us with our theme song. So take it away, the Joe, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Speaking of Evan, he and
Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew in a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Well, it's Bama Blitz.